mummy's with the maggots now.
Death has come to your little town, Sheriff.
Well, hi there.
Hello, and welcome to Would You Die, the show where I believe the cinema is one of our principal forms of art. It is an incredibly powerful way to tell uplifting stories that can move people to cry with joy and inspire them to reach for the stars. Friends, that quote was not from Walt Disney or Steven Spielberg or Ari Aster. That quote was from the man, the myth, the horror legend, Wes Craven. And today, to conclude Wes Craven Month, we're going to talk all about him.
Yes. Welcome to Would You Die?
Oh, yeah. I'm Austin.
I'm Anneliese.
We love Wes Craven.
We do love Wes Craven. We already kind of told you this a couple episodes ago when we started this month, but the way that this month works is our last episode of the month is a deep dive into Wes Craven himself. We're going to talk about kind of his background. We're going to talk about some of his movies we didn't get to this month, as well as kind of rehashing, again, some of the cultural impact that he has had on horror and on cinema in general. So that was a great quote. I love that.
I went on IMDb and I saw that quote. I'm like, I gotta go with this one because and I'll try and think of more quotes. I've seen a lot of interviews over the years growing up, not to bounce too much around, but when I was in high school, I would watch the making of the Scream featurettes on my Blu-ray and DVD I had a Blu-ray of Scream. I'd watch that a lot in high school, so, and then just like seeking out interviews and stuff. There's this really great video on YouTube that I didn't show you, but there's like a 20-minute video of Wes Craven talking about The Omen. I don't know why it exists. I just love the fact that it does, and it's so insightful.
Yeah, for sure.
That quote encapsulates so much about what I feel you feel about film that I need to like make a sticker of like the Office meme where it's like that quote, Wes Craven, Austin Torres.
That's hilarious.
I would wear that as a shirt.
That's a good one.
If you guys want shirts, let us know. We're trying to make money. Woo!
Yup, please. So yeah, I mean, before we get like too into it, because we haven't really talked about this, let's talk about Wes Craven and how he's inspired you as a filmmaker, or just as a person, or a horror fan, and then we'll get into his life and times. Yeah.
So Wes Craven for me is one of those filmmakers that I guess more so in high school, because I wasn't watching like The Serpent and the Rainbow when I was like 9. My first Wes Craven movie was Scream when I was in high school. I devoured that series. My mom showed me Nightmare on Elm Street, which we talked at length about already, my relationship with that film. Scream 4 is the very first slasher film I saw in theaters. So I have a special connection with Scream 4. And also that was shot in Michigan. So between that and it being like because that came out in 2011, the beginning, April, like near the end of my junior year, I believe it was April 2011 when Scream 4 came out. So for me, Wes Craven's more of like a high school memory kind of guy, which is cool considering I was watching his high school, like Scream and Nightmare on Elm Street. But then as I get more into filmmaking, I just kind of, what I like to do is I like to find interviews and videos of my favorite filmmakers. Like I like to see Steven Spielberg talking about how he made Jurassic Park, or like what movies inspired him, Lawrence of Arabia. I've seen a lot of Spielberg interviews over the years too. Yeah. But like with the thing with Wes Craven that really inspires me is Steven Spielberg, and not to take anything away from Steven Spielberg, but that's just a career path that I don't think is attainable. That career path is you have to be fucking Steven Spielberg. You know, like that there's only one Steven Spielberg. That's someone who's that sort of success can never be replicated, and it definitely can't be reverse engineered. But with someone like Wes Craven, where he just kind of came out of nowhere and just willed a career into existence through just pure determination and in Wes Craven's case, intellect, that really inspires me. It kind of reminds me of Sam Raimi, who is also very influential to me. Sam Raimi got to break out of the horror world. Wes Craven didn't, but I like filmmakers who, against all odds, made movies their way. And Wes Craven's one of those guys. And you can see where, like, the films weren't the best, you know?
Yeah.
And you can see why they weren't. But, man, when he hit, those all-time bangers.
Definitely.
How about you? What's kind of like your, especially after going through this month, what's kind of your relationship with Wes Craven's work now?
Yeah. I mean, I mentioned this during our bonus episode, but I'm going to mention it now because it is kind of funny. The work that I was most familiar with Wes Craven with was his one drama, Music of the Heart, his one non-horror film. That movie was hugely instrumental to my childhood. Instrumental, get it?
Hey.
But when I started to get into horror, one of the first things that I watched was Scream. And to this day, it's my favorite horror franchise. I love Scream. And I just think the thing that I'm realizing about Wes Craven after this month and kind of, I mean, I had seen some of these movies before. I had, you know, I'm not a total novice to Wes Craven, but I admire so much about how all of his horror movies stand for something. They are all very politically relevant, even to this day, and socially relevant. And I just think that his background really informed a lot of what he wanted to create.
Yeah.
And I think even though he didn't set out to be a horror movie, you know, a horror guy, I appreciate that he never really, like, resented the horror genre. I think, you know, I'm sure he would have liked to do more outside of it, but I think that he was so appreciative of what horror had to say specifically, and he had so much to say within those confines that I think he is just, like, massively inspirational in that way.
To that point, there's a really great interview that he did with Mick Garris a couple years back. I think 2010, which is not a couple years back. I'm realizing that's like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
But he did this interview with Mick Garris, and Mick Garris is also a horror guy, filmmaker. Like, he wrote Hocus Pocus. He did the TV adaptation of The Stand and The Shining. So he's done a lot of horror cred, but, like, he hosted an interview show for a very long time, and Wes Craven was on it, and they're talking about, like, being confined to horror. And Wes Craven said something along the lines of, like, in a lot of ways it is kind of like being in a ghetto, because people are always looking down on horror, never really giving it the respect it deserves. But on the flip side, he says some of the greatest things came out of the ghetto. Jazz came out of the ghetto. And just to have the self-awareness to be like, you can still do important things despite being put in a box. I think in the same interview he said, I might be a caged bird, but I still get to sing. And it's like, that was a really pretty way to put it.
That's beautiful, yeah.
He wasn't, not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but he was an academic. Like, he might
Yeah.
be one of the smartest filmmakers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not just horror filmmakers, but just filmmakers. At least academic smart.
Yes. I feel like that's a really good segue to kind of get into his early life. I think a lot of his early life obviously informed what he would go on later to do. So he was born in 1939 in Cleveland, Ohio.
Ohio. We like Cleveland, though.
We do like Cleveland.
Yeah.
Cleveland's okay.
The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is there.
Yeah, but the Cleveland Guardians are there.
But Superman's there.
That's true.
And we don't hate the Browns.
I rescind my statement. You can't hate the Browns.
They have enough
They've
going
been
on.
through enough.
And they're also all Cleveland Guardians fans, which is unfortunate. But he was born into kind of a lot of emotional turmoil. His parents divorced when he was very young. His dad died of a heart attack a year after they divorced, and
He was like only 4
he
or
was
5.
buried on his 4th birthday.
4, yeah.
Yep.
We both
So-
did our research, guys. I'm so proud of us.
We did.
But that's fucked up.
Yeah. And he had a very strict religious background. He grew up very fundamentalist Baptist in Cleveland, in Ohio. And his mom was very devout. And I found this quote, which I found really interesting. I found this article on medium.com called Sins of the Father's Religion and the Work of Wes Craven. And it's really interesting because religion is a very present theme throughout his work. But Wes Craven himself talked about it in like a pretty positive light for somebody who like did a lot of critiquing of it. So this is a quote from him which says, "It's very hard to mention it in the general milieu of American thought without people thinking of it as something odd or extreme," it being his church. But that was our church, and that was very much a second family. So there was, in a sense about that church, a remarkable sense of stability and shelter. That was the positive side. Just this idea that he had like this grace almost for his very fundamentalist religious background, despite the fact that later he would go on to kind of critique it. And he, you know, goes on to kind of talk about his early film education, which did have kind of religious undertones. So a lot of his early film education was Disney films, which at the time had a lot of religious undertones. Like we're talking, you know, Pinocchio era.
Yeah.
We're talking about
It'd been like 40s and 50s.
yeah, like Cinderella, a lot of
Dumbo.
Dumbo.
Bambi.
A lot of like witches and devils and dragons.
Oh,
kind of.
Fantasia.
Fantasia, exactly. And then he was also, as you mentioned, very well read. He would devour Dostoevsky and Dickens and like all of these like different authors, and just really like a lot of the Western canon. Like that's where his education comes from, is this idea that he was just absorbing as much knowledge as he could.
And it's interesting because he has said in interviews, you mentioned the Disney stuff, like when he was growing up, he wasn't allowed to watch movies, only Disney movies.
Right, exactly.
He didn't watch his first films until he was in college.
Yeah. And then he went to Wheaton College, where he studied.
Is that in Ohio?
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
No, it's in Illinois. It's in Illinois.
Well, staying in the Midwest, we like a Midwest king.
Yep. So he pursued writing, and then later he went to Johns Hopkins and earned a master's degree in philosophy and writing.
Damn.
And at Johns Hopkins is when he realized he was not religious. He has this quote, "I failed to find Jesus, find redemption. I felt I was at fault. I had a very dark view of himself." So he kind of made this move away from Christianity. And this wrestle that he has kind of follows him into his work. The big thing about like kind of where this led him is how scandalous his first film was considered, and how he was so shocked at the visceral reaction of it, which we'll get to in a bit. But yeah, he was very surprised by the reception that his first film got, which I find interesting.
Should we just go into it, or is there more you want to say about this period in his life?
No, I guess that's it. The big interesting thing is, despite the fact that he has this lifelong struggle, this is just kind of a fun factoid. Despite the fact that he has this lifelong struggle with this idea of purity and religion and everything, he actually got his start by editing pornos, which I find interesting, under pseudonyms, until he did The Last House on the Left.
Listen, you got it. Work is work.
That's true.
Money's money.
Yep.
Spends the same no matter how you get it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and there are a lot more, like, morally... That's not the word I want to use, but, like, there are crappier ways to get your money than cutting porn.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Last House on the Left.
Yeah, so Last House on the Left is loosely based on the movie The Virgin Spring, which was a Swedish movie that
Ingmar Bergman
made in 1960. Very similar plot, if you know the plot of Last House on the Left. If you don't, by the way, blanket spoilers for pretty much all of Wes Craven's movies, just in case.
Good call. Virgin Spring, before you get into that plot, that was also based off of, like, medieval story.
Yes.
Like,
mm-hmm. Yeah, so The Virgin Spring is basically the medieval version of Last House on the Left. Very loosely based. They're not exactly the same story, but two
this is
young
a story
girls
that's been around for hundreds of years.
Yes. So two young girls falling in with dangerous predatory men, and then their family taking revenge.
Right.
The gist. So I cannot speak to the actual movie. I'm going to let you do that. I have never seen Last House on the Left. I know the basic plot. I know how disturbing it is, but you can talk about the movie, and then I will talk about like audience reception.
Yeah, so The Last House on the Left, I watched it for the first time just the other week because it had been It had been a blind spot of mine. I have seen the remake.
Okay.
That came with, like, Aaron Paul came out in 2009. Is a very tough movie to watch. Mm-hmm. Because Wes Craven, some background onto why he made this movie, he was cutting movies for other people. He struck a friendship with Sean Cunningham, who, remember that name. He went on to be in his own right a very big name in horror, most well known for directing the original Friday the 13th, and then just kind of shepherding that series through the 80s. So Sean S. Cunningham, best known for basically being the father of Jason Voorhees.
Right.
Which is so funny because Wes Craven's the father of his most bitter rival, Freddy. Mm-hmm. But they team up. They strike a friendship. Sean Cunningham gets some money from, I think he comes into $90,000 from like a local movie house or production company or something. Like, hey Wes, we'll let you write and direct this picture. It just has to be a horror film. Mm-hmm. And Wes Craven's like, I know nothing about horror films, so I'm gonna do what I think is scary. And he draws inspiration, like we say, from The Virgin Spring, and they make this just raw, visceral film. You're watching it, and it's, I was gonna say almost amateurish. It is amateurish. Like, Wes Craven learned how to direct on that movie. He had never written or directed for film before. That was the very first thing, and everyone that was a part of it's basically starting out. But, like, he makes this movie, and honestly, I thought it was kind of good for what he wanted to do. It's very effective. I know I've already said raw and visceral, but that's like it's like the best way to describe it. There are weird tonal shifts where like there's like a bumbling cop plot line where the cops just be bumbling.
I mean, the weird tonal shifts could probably be explained by the fact that Craven had to cut this film so many times to get it to be rated R.
That's true.
Like, so many times. The UK refused to certify it for release for a while.
He said in an interview that at some point Sean Cunningham just said, fuck it. They just took a rated R rating and they just put it on the film because they were just going to cut the film in half, essentially.
Yeah.
And in that same interview, Wes Craven said, the statute of limitations has passed. I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, they shot on a very low budget. And Sean Cunningham and Wes Craven, they didn't think much about it. There's an extremely brutal scene where they're killing one of the girls. And they just stab and stab and stab her to the point where her guts are falling out.
Wait, there's killing in this movie?
Yeah. Spoilers.
Damn.
And normally on a horror film set, there's a lot of giggles and like fun being had because like you're playing with blood and
Yeah.
But shooting that scene was so hard on the actors and on the crew that when they broke for lunch, everyone just kind of went off on their own and didn't talk and just kind of ate. And Wes himself said he also just kind of went off on his own for a bit. And he knew, like, that was heart-wrenching.
Mm-hmm.
So the crew had felt it while they were shooting it, what they were doing. But after they'd made it, they just thought they were going to, hand it off and maybe a handful of people would see. Maybe, if that. It kind of turned into a thing where a lot of people saw this movie. I'm trying to think of what... So Wes Craven's always been an academic, right?
Right.
There's a painting. I'm trying to think of what it is. I'm trying to find it, but he kind of recreates a very famous painting in one of the death scenes, and that stuck with me.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't remember what the painting's called. And it's like, how do you describe a... Okay, how well do you know paintings, Lisa?
Relatively well. Why?
Do you know John Everett Millace's painting Ophelia?
Yeah.
That inspired the main girl's death. Because she gets shot and then she just kind of goes... No, she's trying to escape and she goes into like the local swamp or whatever, and then the killer shoot her and she just starts floating.
Can I say something really funny?
Yeah.
So the reason that I know about this painting is because very recently Taylor Swift announced a new album, and her album cover is also based on this painting. And I just think, like, this is just, like, a funny thing, because I just think it's so interesting the way that the same art piece can inspire two very tonally different things like that.
Or, hear me out, Taylor Swift has seen and enjoyed The Last House on the Left.
I mean, that's also possible. But I just think that,
So I pulled it up on my phone. I was able to find it.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So just so you can see what I'm referencing, this is what her new album looks like.
That is iconic.
Isn't that so funny? And the first song on the album is called Ophelia.
Wow.
That's just so funny. I'm sorry. It's not funny. I wouldn't bring it up if it were not like relevant to the popular culture of today, but here we are.
But it is.
Yep.
Our boy Wes was
Ahead of his time.
so ahead of it. We'll be saying that a lot.
I mean, like, literally and unironically ahead of his time.
But, yeah. Just to kind of wrap up on Last House, it was so effective. I think what people kind of remember from it culturally is its very famous tagline, "It's only a movie. It's only a movie. It's only a movie." And I get it. Now having seen the movie, I'm like, it is tough to watch. When you think of like 70s exploitation films, that's like the most famous one.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I was going to talk about audience reception, but there were reports of vomiting and fainting.
Right.
There was even, this is like unsubstantiated, but there was reports that a man had died of a heart attack during the film. There is one instance when this did happen for sure, because this is documented, where the crowd rushed to the projection booth to destroy the film. Like, it was a very, very tough film.
In a way, punk rock or heavy metal.
Yeah.
In the sense that people weren't ready for it.
No.
And people or like punk rock, or like, I think Wes Craven would appreciate it, The Rite of Spring. Because that also had a riot.
You called it punk rock, and the only thing I thought of was, well, this can't be Superman's favorite movie.
I'm thinking more Lois Lane's punk rock.
Yeah. Did you know that before making Last House on the Left, he had only ever seen one horror movie?
I think... Can I guess what it is?
Yeah.
Do you know what it is?
I do know what it is.
I think it was Night of the Living Dead.
It was Night of the Living Dead, yes.
Which is such a good movie.
Yes, absolutely. But the reason that it inspired him, because he spent most of his film education in like the art house genre.
Yeah.
But he found that Romero was saying stuff, George A. Romero was saying stuff that he was also interested in. He was talking about race in America and the Vietnam War, which the Last House on the Left is also kind of touching on. There's a lot of symbolism with like the peace sign necklace. I know that.
Right. And he's a very smart, I mean, I'm going to say this over and over again, how smart Wes Craven is.
Yeah.
Because I don't think we can ever appreciate his intellect enough. He is saying stuff with The Last House on the Left. I don't know, through execution, I don't know how much of it is coming through. Just because it is literally the first time he wrote or directed anything.
Yeah.
But it's so visceral. It is drink every time I describe The Last House on the Left as visceral.
Right.
But in the amateurish quality of it is kind of what makes it hit harder too, because something about it feels like a movie you shouldn't be watching. I think the Texas Chainsaw Massacre also kind of has that going for it. I think that's a much more competently shot movie.
Yeah.
Because I think the people behind Texas Chainsaw were a bit more experienced than but they were also young gunners too. Literally, Gunnar Hansen was a young man.
Yeah.
When they did but that, to me, Texas Chainsaw and Last House on the Left are very, not kindred spirits, but they're more related to each other than than other films are. Wes Craven and Sean Cunningham had a really hard time finding work after Last House on the Left. People disowned Wes Craven, like family and friends. They didn't talk to him anymore after Last House on the Left. And it was a really huge shock to him.
Yeah.
Because he's like, I'm still me. I'm still nice and funny. And you talk to Robert Englund or Neve Campbell or like a David Arquette, a bunch of people who worked with him. They're always saying the best things about him.
Yes.
And they were saying these things while he was alive. They weren't just saying it after he passed. Like, they were saying it while he was alive.
Yes.
All the time. But Wes Craven and Sean Cunningham thought they tried to make a soccer movie at one point, but no one would let them work.
Yep.
Unless they did horror. So what'd they do in 1977?
So in 1977, they took that just grindhouse horror, that savagery, and they refined the nightmare by making The Hills Have Eyes.
Have you seen The Hills Have Eyes?
I have not, but I know more even about this movie than I do The Last House on the Left because I have seen the remake.
You've seen the remake?
Yeah.
I have also seen the remake of The Hills Have Eyes, but I have not seen Wes Craven's The Hills Have Eyes.
The remake is insane.
It's a lot.
But the original's a lot too,
Yeah.
I just quick tangent on the remake. On one of my tours of drum corps, someone was watching The Hills Have Eyes on a laptop, and I came over and I started watching it with them. But it was kind of like a crappy copy. It might have been a bootleg or something.
Oh.
So the whole time, I thought I was watching the original.
Oh, because it was like that crappy.
Yeah, it was the remake. And that's my only experience watching the remake.
That's so
But I
funny.
have seen the original.
That's very funny.
So I can speak on the original. I can't really speak on the remake. I have seen it, but it was like halfway through when I started watching.
Right.
But yeah, I hear that movie's fucked up.
So The Hills Have Eyes, just really quick kind of background. Craven, as you mentioned, was having monetary issues, really wanted to make other movies that were not horror, couldn't get anybody to finance the project until finally Peter Locke was like, I would like to finance something like The Last House on the Left, please. And he said, cool, I have no money, so I will do that for you. And this is where kind of Craven's intellect comes in, because he bases this film on the true story of the Scottish cannibal Sonny Bean.
Yep.
But he also bases it on the other influence of the film are quoted as being The Grapes of Wrath and The Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Let's
So,
go.
That's how you know you're making a good movie.
Whenever we covered the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, we're going to have to like spend a couple minutes naming all the iconic movies that were directly inspired by it. Because
Yeah.
like this movie, he said explicitly.
It's all of them. I mean,
Yeah, I mean Alien. Ridley Scott had said multiple times, like, when I was making Alien, I wanted to make Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So it's like, and then, yeah, I know this is Wes Craven's episode. Texas Chainsaw Massacre rules. Anyways, Hills Have Eyes. That movie is also a hard watch. And it's very gritty and visceral. Yeah, like you said, societal breakdown, savagery. I think Wes Craven does a much better job saying what he wants to say in Hills Have Eyes than he does Last House on the Left. Because it's very much an analysis of the family structure, the American family structure in the 70s.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. I just love how, like, these first two movies have these really iconic taglines. Like you said, it's just a movie, and then this one has, like, stay on the main road, like, don't go on the back roads, or whatever it is. I can't remember the exact quote. But
Well, this one, I think, just has that very famous poster with Michael Berryman
well, yes.
as Pluto.
Yes.
And Wes Craven has said that was just a luck of casting. Michael Berryman just looks like that.
Well, yes. Yeah, Michael Berryman has
Yeah.
hypohydrotic ectodermal dysplasia.
He's still working, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
I like Michael Berryman because he's in a lot of other stuff too. I think this movie that was his start.
I think so. I think you're right.
It's a very early movie for Dee Wallace,
Yes.
who
We've talked about before.
horror queen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Halloween episode.
My Queen in the Howling.
Mm-hmm. We'll talk about her plenty over this show. But Hills Have Eyes is a very big moment for her because I think that gets her the Howling job.
Yeah.
Which gets her E.T. Like
And Cujo.
in Cujo, right?
I know E.T.'s bigger than Cujo, but Cujo.
I love Cujo.
This is kind of an aside, but do you know about the Wes Craven Sam Raimi kind of like one-upping thing that started with this movie?
Yeah, because he makes Hills Have Eyes.
Wes Craven makes Hills Have Eyes and has a ripped Jaws poster in the background.
Yeah.
Sam Raimi sees that and then puts a ripped Hills Have Eyes poster in The Evil Dead. And then Craven has Nancy Thompson fall asleep to The Evil Dead in A Nightmare on Elm Street. And then Raimi put Freddy Krueger's glove in a scene of Evil Dead 2. Craven had his characters in Scream watch Halloween instead of The Evil Dead, which they also had as an option.
Mm-hmm.
And then later in Ash versus the Evil Dead, he paid tribute to Wes Craven by using Freddy Krueger's glove and then a poster for The Hills Have Eyes after Wes Craven passed. So I just thought that was very fun.
I choose to believe they were friends.
Oh, yeah, I think they were. I mean, I think that's very, very fun.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure they were. I'm sure they, like, had drinks every once in a while.
Yeah.
Maybe, they must have at certain points, especially when, in the 80s, when they're both kind of navigating the horror.
Right.
I know Wes Craven, I don't remember which, it might have been Mick Garris who started the Master of Horror dinners, but there's, like, a thing where, like, people like Guillermo del Toro and John Carpenter, Tobe Hooper, George Romero, Wes Craven. I'm assuming Sam Raimi was probably invited. But just like the Masters of Horror will get dinners, and then like they still happen, I guess. And then like filmmakers like Adam Green and Joe Lynch get to go.
Mm-hmm.
Goals. But I'm sure James Wan and Lee Winnell, like people like that. But anyways, Hills Have Eyes. We'll come back to throughout this episode. There is a very interesting movie that has a direct Hills Have Eyes connection. I don't think you're going to guess it.
I was going to say, I don't think I know.
But something I want to say about The Hills Have Eyes, there's a lot of upsetting stuff in it. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's as upsetting as The Last House on the Left. Mm-hmm. But there is violence towards doggos.
Yes, that's true.
In The Hills Have Eyes, and it's
so bad.
It's so bad.
Yeah.
And I should have thought of that when we did The People Under the Stairs, because I'm like, I'm not surprised, but I didn't think of it until just now.
You're right.
But I do have to say this: while there are violence against doggos in The Hills Have Eyes, there is also violence by the doggos.
That's true.
Beast? I love Beast.
Yeah. Poor Beauty.
Right.
But Beast, man.
Yo, I don't know if if Beast goes beast mode in the remake, but he is in, like, let's just say Beast has a kill count.
Yeah, that's fair.
And it's like, yeah, dogs are homies.
True. Okay, so at this point, we're going to skip a little bit ahead in his career to a movie we've already talked about. Much. A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Woo!
There is kind of this, I wouldn't say lull, because he was still doing stuff in his careers, but he did 2 movies called Deadly Blessing and Swamp Thing in between. Swamp Thing was a DC property.
Mm-hmm. And that was before superhero movies were really, at that point,
right.
it was only Superman.
Right.
So they didn't give Swamp Thing a lot of money.
No.
They actually shot in a swamp.
Mm-hmm.
Wes Craven has said in an interview, like, the alligators would just be watching them shoot and be like, when the hell are these guys going to leave us alone?
Right. Deadly Blessing was like a modest success. Like, it was fine. It didn't do great, but it didn't do terribly. It earned a profit.
Swamp Thing had Adrienne Barbeau.
True.
We like Adrienne Barbeau.
Accurate.
But yeah, there wasn't like any hits or anything like that. A lot of frustrations at this time.
Right. So then we hit A Nightmare on Elm Street. Obviously, please feel free to go listen to our episode about A Nightmare on Elm Street if you want to hear us talk about this super in depth. But the big thing here is the creation of Freddy Krueger and how it made, like, how it showed an intelligent and vocal and mouthy slasher.
Right.
That was different. And A Nightmare on Elm Street saved New Line Cinema.
It kickstarted it too,
Yeah,
like,
so New Line Cinema before Freddy was mostly known for cult classics. Reefer Madness. They had the re-release for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah, they started as a distribution company.
Right. And then Wes Craven came with Freddy. New Line was relying on external money with Nightmare on Elm Street. 1 month before production began, the backer who had 40% stake in the film dropped out. And New Line luckily found somebody else. But it was crazy. So tons of people had to come in and swoop and save last minute.
Right.
And people were very worried that the movie wouldn't get made. But it did. It made $57 million at the box office. And now New Line Cinema is like a mainstream production company. I mean, like...
Well, they used to call New Line Cinema the house that Freddy built.
Right, exactly.
And if it wasn't for a certain fantasy film trilogy, it would be their New Line Cinema's most marketable property.
Franchise, yeah. If it were not for the trilogy that he is talking about is Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, they're kind of a big deal.
It was like Nightmare on Elm Street, and then their biggest property for a really long time was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Right.
And then it was Lord of the Rings.
And then Golden Compass kind of killed New Line.
Yeah.
But they're kind of coming back a little bit. They're on life support, but like Final Destination is doing great things for them right now.
Yes.
I think Weapons, current hit Weapons, I think that was New Line. No, it wasn't. It was only Warner Brothers. But or maybe I know they're coming out with Mortal Kombat too.
I was going to say they're coming out with The Conjuring Last Rites.
I think I'm thinking of The Conjuring.
The Mummy, Evil Dead Burn.
Yep. So, you know what? Horror.
Yep. I mean, they just came out with Weapons, right?
They did do Weapons.
Yeah.
I wasn't being
And Companion.
super dumb.
No, you were not. Yeah, they've done a lot of horror recently. Like Salem's Lot, the new Salem's Lot movie.
Mm-hmm.
They came out with Horizon and American Saga, which if you know anything about me, that is a personal horror movie of mine. But that's because I'm scared of Kevin Costner.
Wait, what movie was it?
Horizon.
You know, it's so funny. Like, only because you mentioned it, I was, when we were talking adjacently about Sam Raimi, I was like, oh, Sam Raimi has directed a lot of horror, which, like, is common knowledge, but, like, Evil Dead, Drag Me to Hell, For Love of the Game.
You're not funny. He did For Love of the Game?
Yeah, that was news to me, too. That's crazy.
Sam Raimi did For Love of the Game. Okay, so this is my time. This is my confessional time on this podcast. If you don't get what we're talking about right now, one of my legitimate fears is Kevin Costner, the actor. No, I don't know why. It's always been a thing. My heart starts racing and my palms start sweating whenever I see him. And, like, not in a, like, oh my God way, like in a oh my God way. And it's, I don't get it. I don't have an answer. But yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Sam Raimi fucking directed that fucking movie. That's why it's a horror movie.
All Kevin Costner did was love baseball.
I didn't for this to happen.
That is a ghost movie. There is an argument for...
No, Field of Dreams is a ghost movie.
No, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Field of Dreams,
yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, and that's fair. I've said that.
For
I've
the
said
Love
that
of
to
the
her,
Game is
too.
a different baseball movie with
a different
Kevin Costner.
baseball horror movie.
Exactly.
He's also in Bull Durham, another baseball horror movie.
But that one has our horror queen in it.
It does. Does it?
Yeah.
I haven't seen
Doesn't it?
Durham.
Bull Durham?
Never mind.
Bull Durham has Susan Sarandon in it.
I'm thinking of a different movie.
That's not a horror queen.
No, she's not. She's never been in a horror movie.
She's a phenomenal actress.
Who was I thinking of? I don't know.
He's in Draft Day.
He is in Draft Day.
That's a movie about the Cleveland Browns.
Anyway, this has been...
Her web connects us all.
This has been our...
I will never stop.
This has been our Would You Die recap of Kevin Costner's career.
In the Wes Craven career episode. So, if you want to hear us chat more about A Nightmare on Elm Street, we talk at length. We talk like over an hour and a half about it a few weeks ago. So, listen to that episode if you haven't already. But we are going to move on.
Skip ahead 10 years.
Yeah.
To Wes Craven's New Nightmare.
where he reinvents. Well, he reinvents Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yes.
At the very least.
But it also was kind of one of the first times he was using meta horror.
Mm-hmm.
Which is something that, like, now he's known for. Like, that's the whole Scream thing, you know? So,
and this is where his intellect really comes into play. And also being, like, just ahead of the times, ahead of the audience.
Yes.
Because audiences weren't really ready for this in 94.
Right. So I have not seen this movie, but I'm going to kind of give the basic plot so that we can talk about why it's meta.
Mm-hmm.
So Heather Langenkamp, who plays Nancy.
Yep.
This movie stars Heather Langenkamp as Heather Langenkamp. And she basically has this nightmare where her family is attacked by Freddy Krueger claws. She gets phone calls from somebody who quotes Freddy Krueger's nursery rhyme in Freddy's voice. And then she goes in to New Line Cinema, where she's asked to reprise her role as Nancy. And basically the entire movie is Heather getting terrorized by Freddy, who is a fictional character from the movie that she was in 10 years ago.
The plot's, when you watch this movie, the plot's actually more insane than that.
Okay.
But I don't want to give everything away.
Well, yeah, I didn't want to give, like,
right.
a ton, but
right,
yeah.
but it's even more insane than what you're thinking, and that's why I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Something really cool about Wes Craven's New Nightmare is, like, the behind-the-scenes people play themselves. So Bob Shea, who is the head of New Line,
Right.
who founded New Line, he plays himself,
Right.
trying to bring Heather Langenkamp back. Wes Craven plays Wes Craven.
Right.
And, like, he's writing the movie as the movie's happening. Robert Englund plays both Freddy Krueger and Robert Englund.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, the New Nightmare Freddy's, like, miss me? And he's really, like, kind of, like, they make him scary again. And then Robert Englund, when he's playing himself, is like, hello, I'm Robert Englund. I'm just a normal guy.
Yeah.
The pitch is crazy because the pitch is like, I want to make a documentary about Nightmare on Elm Street, essentially. It's not filmed like a documentary.
Yeah.
I get that, but I'm saying it's almost like he's like, I'd like to make a movie about making a movie, but also it's a movie.
Right.
Austin, is this where your idea for your previous success smash hit documentary came from?
Was it at least in the back of your head?
It might have been, but I don't think I had seen New Nightmare yet.
That's so funny.
But
It's way funnier to do this with documentary, by the way.
But I don't think I had seen. I think the first time I saw New Nightmare was post college, because I saw a lot of the Freddy movies in 2021 when I covered Freddy and the very first iteration of Would You Die. Mm-hmm. Just because I bought the Blu-ray set, and then I was finally able to watch all the Freddy movies.
Right.
And I have seen New Nightmare a couple times since. I'm not sure I've seen it beforehand, but there are some Freddy movies I've seen parts of on TV. This one might have been one of them. But it was a movie that's been around. Like, I remember like always seeing like the DVD covers and like I had like movie books and it's like, this is when New Nightmare came out. I'm like, that looks scary.
Yes.
I'm never watching that. I've watched it multiple times.
Well, now you know.
I have a shirt.
I think your exact quote was, I'm never watching that and then subsequently recording a podcast about it. That would be nuts.
That's exactly what he
Were
said.
you stalking me back in the day? But, yeah. Wes Craven's New Nightmare, though, this film walked. So a little film called Scream could run.
Fly.
Could fucking fly. Scream is Wes Craven's best movie.
Yes. That is true, and I agree. So Scream is probably his magnum opus. It is this perfect blend of horror and comedy, and it makes a commentary on every horror trope, which is really, the more you learn about Wes Craven, the more that this makes sense for him, right?
Mhm.
Because he's not a guy who set out to make horror films. He's a
Right.
guy who kind of fell into horror. And so he was able to kind of look at it from an outsider's perspective almost and see the pitfalls, the tropes, the stereotypes. And yeah, I just think that that's endlessly charming. Like, I just think it's such a wonderful both love letter to the genre, but also I've said like love letter to the genre in like every single podcast episode we've ever fucking done. But you know what I mean.
At least you didn't call it visceral.
It's visceral.
Drink, guys.
It's a visceral love letter to the genre. But no, it's just so fun. And like, I think that at the end of the day, that's the best thing that I can say about it, is that it's fun.
I just think it's incredibly respectable for this guy who, like you said, like the more you learn about him, the more you're like, oh, he accidentally became one of the most, like, a director whose name is synonymous with horror movies.
Right.
Like, and that was not on purpose.
Even though it sounds like
Right.
his name's Wes Craven.
Right, I know.
He should be making horror movies.
And it's like he wants to direct these other movies. He's like, God, let me make Music of the Heart, the sequel. Let me make it a trilogy, please.
Right.
And he, especially with the Scream franchise, which is the Wes Craven like IP that I'm the most familiar with. Like,
I would
going
say
into
most
this.
people.
And he takes it and he's just like, you're gonna back me into this corner of doing horror. Fine. I'm gonna also make it funny.
Right.
I'm gonna also make it like heartfelt and like all these things that like is
and
not
intelligent.
always normal. Yeah.
I don't want to spend too much time on Scream because we're going to talk about it.
We are going to talk about it.
We're gonna scream about it.
We
Hey.
will.
But
Okay.
I got a fun fact about Scream that should be in this episode.
Okay.
Wes Craven turned Scream down.
I did know that.
I thought you were gonna tell us he directed it, and I was like, I think they got it.
I think they know.
No, he turned it down at first. And I think the story goes Kevin Williamson really wanted Wes Craven to do it. They asked other directors, and I can't remember if he came back to them or if they came back to him. But at some point, after he had turned Scream down, he was at a convention, and he had a young fan be like, I like what you're doing, but like, when you're going to make a kick-ass movie again, like Last House or Hills Have Eyes? And he goes, yeah, I need to kick ass again. I think it's safe to say Wes Craven kicked ass.
He did kick some ass. So let's do this real quick before we move on from Scream. Let's rank the first 4 Scream films, because those are the ones that Wes Craven had a hand in.
Okay.
I will take your ranking first.
Oh, okay.
I'm afraid that mine's going to be a little controversial, so I want to hear yours first so I can make some last minute decisions.
Is mine not going to be controversial?
Well, yours will probably be controversial, but you have a good reason for yours to be controversial.
I guess. What am I starting from the bottom or
Bottom to top.
All right, bottom, Scream 3.
Okay.
It's easy. I like Scream 3, but it's
Okay.
I think with Scream 3, they were making this movie right after the Columbine shooting.
Yeah.
So everyone involved were kind of like walking on eggshells, and I think that hindered Scream 3 a bit. There are other production difficulties that happen, so I try to be nice to Scream 3, but it has the worst ghost face in the entire franchise, and it's kind of the dumbest of the franchise in terms of meta, but what I like about Scream 3 is I like the Hollywood critique. and it's saying some shit that really needed to be said, especially with like sexual predators posing as producers.
Ironically, with the executive producer on this film being Harvey Weinstein.
I think the Lance Henriksen character is Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I don't think Wes Craven was a fan, but you know, like, I think it was like an open secret in Hollywood.
Oh, it was. I mean,
so
yes.
This was his way of being like, I'll take your money, but this is a problem. But yeah, power dynamics and stuff like that. So I don't think Scream 3 is bad by any means. But I don't think it's as good as Scream 2, which is my next one.
Okay.
I like Scream 2 a lot. I think Scream 2 is fantastic. I think Timothy Olyphant is amazing in this movie. Where no one told me Timothy Olyphant was in Alien Earth, and I'm mad at everybody. I also just finally watched the first episode of Alien Earth yesterday, so I was a little late to the party, but what the hell, guys? I thought you liked me.
Sorry, bud.
And that I'm not yelling at Lisa and Jeremy. I'm yelling at everyone, but Lisa and Jeremy are in the room, so.
That's fair.
But I love Scream 2. Laurie Metcalf is great in it. Obviously, the trio's great in every movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think Liev Schreiber as Cotton Reary is really good in Scream 2.
Yeah.
So, and Sidney Prescott's hair and just overall beauty in Scream 2, that is my favorite Sidney.
Fair.
And it has the Scream 2 is actually where I have the you listen to the intro of Would You Die? Have you ever felt a knife cut through human flesh and scrape the bone beneath? That's from Scream 2.
Yes, it is.
And also, fun fact, when Freddy says, "You're all my children now," that's from Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, which Wes Craven wasn't involved with. But I just think it's funny that I used 2 Part 2s in my intro.
You did. That's so funny.
And I'm just realizing that right now. But my second ranked one, mostly for personal reasons and nostalgic reasons, is Scream 4. Also, nostalgic reasons aside, I just love how forward thinking it was with social media.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't need friends. I need fans. And just that. What am I supposed to do? Go to college? Work? Jill Roberts is a queen.
She is.
But no, I think it's in terms of meta, I like what they're doing with like remakes.
Mm-hmm.
At that time, a little more than 10 years had passed between the original Scream and Scream 4. I love the cold open in that movie. Alison Brie has a little small part in it.
Yeah.
So does Anthony Anderson and Adam Brody. A bunch of people are in that opening. I just think Scream 4 is an underrated horror sequel.
Is that the one with Kristen Bell as well, or is that a different one?
That's Scream 4. Anna Paquin.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy.
And I get why people don't like Scream 4, because it has that weird filter effect. Visually, it's not the best, but story-wise, what it has to say, I think Scream 4 is really good. And I think Scream 4 is one of the more violent Screams. So the depraved, messed up little guy in me likes that. And my number one is Scream.
Yeah.
Yeah. What can I say? Here's what I have to say about the original Scream. And it's a quote from Scream 4. Don't fuck with the original.
That's so real. Okay.
I have a Scream 4 story if you want me to tell it real quick.
Sure, go ahead.
I met Nev Campbell at a Comic-Con. And
Oh, I do know this story, but I love it.
And I wanted to get 2 autographs. One for a group picture that we'd taken with Skeet Ulrich and Matthew Lillard, me and my mom, and Nev. And then I just wanted like a 8x10, like normal picture autograph. So we go up to Neve Campbell. We give her handler my monies, and then this whole time waiting in line, I'm thinking, what picture am I gonna pick? What picture am I gonna pick? As we get closer and closer to Neve Campbell, my mind thoughts gravitate towards she is so radiant. She is so beautiful.
True.
Like,
true and accurate.
You can just being in the same room as her is making me a happier person.
Okay, fair.
She has that energy.
Mm-hmm.
I am not thinking at all about what's about to happen. We get close to the line. I see the pictures, and I'm like, Scream or Scream 4? Scream or Scream 4? Scream. I have so much Scream stuff. I barely have any Scream 4 stuff. I pick a picture from Scream 4. I'm so happy with my decision. And we're making small talk with Neve, and she's radiant, and she's so kind and personable and just a delight. And she looks at me in the eye, and she asks, what quote do you want me to put on this? And I go, oh, words were not wording, thoughts were not thoughting.
Right.
I don't think I drooled, but it felt like I just started like Patrick Star drooling on the spot. I like to think I did it, especially in front of the goddess that is Neve Campbell. And I'm just brain farting. And this actually happened. I said, I'm going to be perfectly honest. I didn't think about that. I spent the whole time deciding what picture I wanted. I didn't think about the quote. And she goes, how about don't fuck with the original? And I said, yes, that's perfect. And that's the story of how Neve Campbell saved my life from embarrassing Neve Campbell.
I don't think it would have embarrassed Neve Campbell. I think it would have embarrassed you in front of Neve Campbell.
That's what I meant. I meant. Like embarrassing myself in front of Neve Campbell. That's what I meant.
That's fair.
But anyways, that's my Neve Campbell Scream 4 story. She's lovely.
Friend of the pod.
Yeah.
Real.
Friend of the pod, Neve Campbell. What is your Wes Craven Scream rankings?
So, here's the thing. I think you all need to understand and be gentle with me when I say that it is based on vibes. And I think that's important that we all just recognize that I'm allowed to have different vibes from everybody else.
She's different.
Stop! My number 4 is Scream 2. And here's why.
Wrong.
There's no reason. I just like the other ones more.
Here's why. There's no why.
My number 3 is Scream 4.
Wrong.
Because that movie is fun, and I like it better than Scream 2, which I don't remember the plot of very well, except for that she goes to college, and Randy's there. And I do like Randy. That's, respect. But I like this one because I think that Emma Roberts is fucking hilarious. And that's how I feel. My number 2 is Scream 3. And I know this is kind of crazy.
I'll take it. Oh, I thought you were going down a path I couldn't follow.
No, I'm not quite that crazy. I do get your critiques, and I think you're right.
But no.
But I think, here's the thing.
I'm cool with Scream 3 being
Here's the thing.
Where it's at.
I genuinely think that the scene with Carrie Fisher is one of the funniest scenes that ever happened in cinema. And that saves that movie for me so much. And I just love her so much. And that's it.
You got to remember with me, do I think Scream 3 is the worst Scream movie? Yes. Do I think it's a 4-star banger? Yes.
Fair.
The worst Scream is better than most movies.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure all of the Scream movies, if you were to, I don't think I have them actually logged on Letterboxd, but I'm pretty sure I would rate all of the Scream movies as like 4, 4.5, or 5.
Right.
So I don't like, this is not, they're all very close.
My personal opinion on Scream rankings, number 1 has to be at number 1, then do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
Scream 6 at number 2, cool. Scream 3 at number 2, cool. Like,
yeah, no, Scream the original is number 1.
If you have
By
that
far.
one lower than 1, or maybe, you know, I will give a nostalgic 2 or 4 or 5 over the original.
Fair.
I can't do it with 3 or 6.
That's fine.
And I love them all. I do love them all.
The OG is the OG. I love it. I love my love for the problematic men in that movie. I love Matthew Lillard more than anything on the planet.
Hell
except
yeah.
for like my own boyfriend. I was getting there.
You don't have to lie.
I'm not lying. It's close, but I'm not lying.
This is how Jeremy hears the truth.
But yeah, no. And like our OG Nev Campbell, Sidney Prescott, beautiful. Don't fuck with the original.
Don't fuck with the original. But yeah, well, over the years, we'll talk plenty about the Scream franchise.
Sometimes, here's the thing. Sometimes I fall down the rabbit hole of watching Riverdale every once in a while. And I'm just like, I know he's supposed to be like a supportive dad and he's trying his best. But that man's a serial killer. And that's how I feel. Okay.
I love Skeet Ulrich.
Yeah, me too. And like, he's phenomenal. But he's also a serial killer.
Jesus.
No, he's not. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Skeet, friend of the pod. Okay, so let's talk really quick before we wrap it up about some underrated projects, offbeat projects that Wes Craven also had a hand in.
All right, rapid fire. You name the movie, I'll do the description.
Serpent in the Rainbow, 1988.
Bill Pullman, Haitian Voodoo, political horror. I haven't seen it. I meant to see it. I had it on my list.
I meant to see it.
I wanted to see it before this recording. I didn't get a chance.
You mentioned that movie earlier in the episode. You were like, well, it's not like I was watching that when I was a teenager.
I didn't watch it when I was a teenager, and I didn't watch it now.
That's fair.
I didn't watch it then, and I didn't watch it ever.
It's on my list, and I really want to see it, because I hear it's a banger. But I haven't seen it.
All right. Shocker, 1989.
Techno horror that didn't quite land. It was supposed to be a follow-up to Freddy Krueger, but there were just messed up things that happened. Apparently, one of the special effects guys, like, had a mental breakdown.
Oh, no. I didn't know this.
During this, and would just leave Wes Craven, like, voice messages, like, hey, we're working on it. Hey, we're working on it. Hey, we're working on it. We need to meet. He comes over and meets with them. I didn't do shit.
Oh, no.
And, like, film was just kind of scattered all over, so Wes had to, like, it was a problem.
That's horrible. Okay, People Under the Stairs, 1991.
We did that 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
Fool is a Homie. Ving Rhames. Secretary of Pussy.
Dog.
Justice for Prince.
Prince, that's his name.
Justice for Prince. Man walked so Stu could run. People Under the Stairs, watch that movie. It's dark.
It's so good.
It's dark, but
It's not Last House on the Left dark, though.
no.
Or Hills Have Eyes dark, but it's dark.
It's darker than Scream or Nightmare, I think.
Yes. Vampire in Brooklyn, 1995.
Okay. So remember when I said The Hills Have Eyes will come back?
Yeah.
A big reason why this movie exists is Eddie Murphy is a huge fan of The Hills Have Eyes.
I did not know that. That's so funny.
And Eddie Murphy wanted to work with Wes Craven specifically because he was such a big fan of The Hills Have Eyes.
That's hilarious. I didn't know that. Yeah, this movie stars Eddie Murphy as a vampire in Brooklyn.
With Angela Bassett.
True. Music of the Heart, 1999.
Also Angela Bassett.
Yes.
Subscribe to our Patreon, $3 a month, so you can get our full thoughts on why Meryl Streep should join the music teacher Mount Rushmore along with Jack Black and the band director from Drumline. and J.K. Simmons.
Okay. Red Eye, 2005.
We talked about it last week. Cillian Murphy. Those dreamy eyes. Rachel McAdams. Just killing it.
Batman Begins.
Exists.
Cursed, 2005.
Another 2005 movie. This is an underrated gem, I think. Is it good? No, but I really like it.
But it has Christina Ricci and Jesse Eisenberg as siblings.
Judy Greer, Michael Rosenbaum. There's more people.
Milo Ventimiglia.
Yeah. I
Ellen's
like
wife.
Huh?
Ellen's wife. Portia de Rossi. Ellen DeGeneres.
She's in Scream too.
Yeah.
Hi, I really mean that. Hi. That's a quote from Scream 2 I'll never forget.
Yeah.
But
Bowling for Soup as themselves.
Okay. Cursed is not great, but I still enjoy it.
Side note, remember when, like, in the early 2000s, like, bands would just be in movies, like, as themselves randomly?
Yeah.
Like,
Is that what happened? Because I didn't recognize
I think
them.
so. Like, when Smash Mouth was in Rat Race.
This wasn't the 2000s, this was the 80s, but when ZZ Top was in Back to the Future Part 3.
Yeah.
When Vanilla Ice was in the Ninja Turtles movie for some reason.
Go Ninja, go Ninja, go. New Line Cinema, the house that Freddy built.
Yep, that's... They gave us
The
Vanilla
house that
Ice.
Vanilla Ice built.
Vanilla Ice and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles built.
Her web connects us all.
Okay. So, to kind of wrap it up, Wes Craven had this very unique blend of intellect and terror and darkness.
And comedy.
And
He
comedy.
had a wicked sense of humor. He
did have a wicked sense of humor.
Like, People Under the Stairs, I laugh so hard when Fool's like, I hate to be a bother, but you know what else is a bother? Lymphoma. I don't remember what the line was.
I really I want to commend you because you have not said People Under the Stairs once during this episode.
You might have, No. The quote is, I know it's a bother, but so is cerebral palsy.
It's true.
He says it like a question, too. It's so good. It's so funny.
Yeah.
It's
So
such
is
a good...
cerebral palsy?
Yeah. Such a good line reading. And obviously Scream is funny. But, Nightmare's...
Yeah.
I'm your boyfriend now. That's funny. It's
No,
fucked
yeah.
up, but it's funny.
Yeah, and he worked with themes like trauma, identity, morality. He talked about big hot button issues like racism and classism and the Vietnam War and
Right. He dismantled the nuclear family.
yeah.
He looked at nationalism and paranoia. He, with the Scream franchise in particular, looked at media violence and our relationship to media and our relationship to violence.
Yes.
Movies don't create psychos. Movies make psychos more creative.
Real.
And I know this isn't the Scream episode, but how fucking insane of it to be like, hey babe, I was just watching The Exorcist and got me thinking of you. That's insane.
Yeah.
And it's like, I know Skeet Ulrich is much hotter than me, but whenever I tell that to a girl, I lose a Tinder match.
Listen, you gotta be Skeet Ulrich, though.
That line doesn't work.
Step one.
Yeah.
Be Skeet Ulrich.
I'm self-aware enough to know he's a little hotter than me.
Just listen. I think he's a little hotter than all of us, if we're being honest with ourselves.
He is so hot.
Yeah. So this has been Wes Craven Month. How do you feel? Do you feel like you've learned anything new, or did you know all of this to begin with?
No, I it's always good to just talk about these kinds of masters of horror, master filmmakers. At the beginning of Wes Craven Month, we were talking about what is a master of horror And, like, I think I want to clarify my thoughts on that a little bit. Because I'm like, you have to make 5 good horror movies. And I think it's a little more than that. I think to be a master of horror, you have to, one, make some bangers. They don't all have to be bangers. Like...
No, I mean, we've literally talked about movies that he didn't have mainstream success for.
Yeah, and we talked about movies that, like, weren't, like, the best, like Shocker or Curse. We didn't even bring up Deadly Friend.
No, we did not.
But I made you guys watch the Deadly Friend iconic scene.
You did. You made me do that.
It was awesome. I should have recorded it. I'm so sad.
Sorry you didn't do that.
But anyways, I think to be a master of horror, you have to make at least 3 bangers. And horror has to be kind of like, whether you want it to be or not, your brand.
Okay.
Like, Wes Craven didn't want it to be, but it was, and he embraced it.
Yeah.
I think Jordan Peele wants it to be. So at the moment, I would consider him a master of horror.
Fair.
He's made 3 bangers. He's 3 for 3. He's helping other people make horror, which I think is a big part of it, and it's his brand.
Yes.
I don't think I would consider... I would consider Ari Aster an auteur, but I don't think he's a master of horror because he's branched out from that.
Fair.
And, like, his career is still early. Steven Spielberg's not a master of horror. He's made 5, 6 iconic horror films, not including ones he produced. But that's not his brand. He's able to get out of it.
Yes.
Or he chooses to get out of it. Like, he transcends horror in a way that, like, James Wan is a master of horror, even though he
has done other things.
He has done other things. He comes back to horror. He still does horror talk shows.
I feel like that's where, like, Raimi is as well.
Sam Raimi as well is a master of horror, even though he's doing Spider-Man and Doctor Strange.
And For Love of the Game, starring Kevin Costner.
And The Quick and the Dead, which is a Western. Like, Sam Raimi's got to do a lot of movies that are not horror, but he comes back to it, and he still helps shepherd the Evil Dead.
And it, like, influences it. I mean, like, he's made, like, his Doctor Strange movie has horror, like, themes throughout.
Right. And the last time Steven Spielberg did something kind of horror was the Amazing Shining reference in Ready Player One, and then, like, it's fucking Chucky, which always gets me laughing. I think Steven Spielberg's a horror fan, but he's able to escape the horror brand. So I think and I don't want to be like, he's not part of the club, he's too cool for us, but I'm like, master of horror, he's Steven Spielberg. He doesn't need to be a master of horror. I feel the same way about Alfred Hitchcock. Like, he doesn't need to be a master of horror. He's Alfred fucking Hitchcock. He is the master of suspense and the only one. There are multiple masters of horror, you know.
Right.
There's only one master of suspense. And his name is John Cena.
It's not.
Yeah. I don't know why that popped into my brain, but it did. But anyways, I think Wes Craven is the, like, ultimate example of what it is to be a master of horror. He's made a bunch of horror bangers. It's part of his brand. And he did something with horror. He revolutionized it 3 times with Last House on the Left, A Nightmare on Elm Street, and Scream. And I think his biggest contribution to horror is he proved that you can have a very rewarding and varied career even if you're put into a box. And he showed that horror is a place for intellectual conversations and deep, thought-provoking art that is still fun and grabs you by the throat and accessible to everyone.
I agree.
So thank you for letting me go on that soapbox for a bit. I felt like I was just talking and talking and talking.
No, it's beautiful.
No, I think that it sums it up with it. It's if you grow up wanting to make movies, there's a lot of people to look to.
Right.
If you grow up wanting to make horror movies, you have Wes Craven to look to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, him. Yeah, and there's
And,
like a
and
class.
others, but he's the guy.
Yeah. The only one I think that's comparable to him is John Carpenter.
Yeah, I would agree.
And there's a reason why in Scream, which in fairness, Wes Craven didn't write, Kevin Williamson wrote this line. What is this? Some sort of Wes Carpenter flick? I think there's a reason why those two were put together.
Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah. We love Wes Craven.
So, Austin, where can the people find you?
Under the Scares.
Under the stairs, you mean?
Fuck. I wanted to do a joke and it didn't pan out well.
Yes, also joking.
So, you can find me, Austin M. Torres, at Austin M. Torres on all the social medias. You can find Would You Die at Would You Die Show on Insta and the like. Subscribe to us on YouTube, where not only you can listen to this podcast, but you can watch Spooky Spotlight, a show hosted by my friend Deanna Hope. You can watch my short films like The Blood Witch, Ice Cream, and Spider. And is there a new show on the way? Maybe. I don't know. Ooh. Where can the people find... Oh, wait. Letterboxd review. We didn't have one this week. But follow my Letterboxd at Austin M. Torres. Where can the people find you guys?
Everybody can find me mostly on Instagram and Letterboxd at Whimsawillow. See y'all out there.
You can find me at Annually Funny on pretty much all the social medias. If you are craving more.
I get it.
That was a pretty good pun.
Okay, our production is done by Jeremy Lippitt. Our music you hear at the beginning and end of every episode is done by Josie Palmer. Our graphics that you see on our social medias are done by Allie Gibson at Crosshook Creative. Austin, do you have a hint for next month? We're getting into September.
Break out those books, because school is here.
Let's go! It's my time to shine.
And for next week, specifically, it's one of the oldest tales in horror. With a more recent adaptation.
Yes.
That I'm very, very excited to talk about.
Not the most recent adaptation.
Not
but
the
a
most
more
recent.
adaptation.
A decently recent.
Yeah.
It's one where, let's just say, the bad guys are from someplace else. No, not like Europe. I'm Austin Torres.
I'm Anneliese Petersmark.
Try not to die.